Hello everyone, I'm IT4 from Psychic Gamers, and this is a tutorial about DayZ Standalone's health mechanics. In this first episode of what is hopefully going to be a nice long series of DayZ tutorials, I'm going to be covering the very basics of the health system, taking a look at the two most important values used to store your character's current status, health and blood. I'm going to be explaining why these are so important very soon. However, first I thought it might be nice to revisit the DayZ mod health system. For those of you that have only started playing DayZ with the standalone, this probably won't be that interesting, so feel free to skip forward. But for those of you that have been playing longer, going over the old system will really help highlight how much different the standalone system is and in what ways. So how did it work in the mod? Well, it was a pretty simple system. We had one single value that represented our current life status, known as blood. You started off with 12,000, which was the maximum you could ever get, and this was a continuous scale all the way down to 0. Being shot, being hit by zombies, starving, dehydrating, and later on becoming infected all had negative effects on your blood level. As you lost more and more health, you'd start to notice a few different effects. Firstly, your screen would start to desaturate, so everything would become black and white. You might notice some blur start to creep in as well. Towards the lower blood levels, knockout by zombies became a much higher chance, and at very low blood levels, you could pass out at any moment. Luckily, at any point, as long as you had a buddy to apply it, you could use a blood bag to completely replenish your blood up to the full 12,000. However, if you weren't able to be healed, hitting 0 meant death. So, how does it work in DayZ Standalone? Well, we still have a blood bar, and this is out of 5,000 this time instead of 12,000, but we also have an additional value called health. This goes up to a maximum of 5,000 as well. Both start out at 5,000 when you spawn, and both have a minimum value of 0. So what's the difference between the two? Well, to put it simply, blood affects consciousness, health affects life. It's important to realise that they can move independently of each other. I'm just going to run through a few hypothetical scenarios, and it will soon become apparent why this is so important. So we're going to start off with a freshly spawned survivor, and he's going to spawn in with 5,000 blood and 5,000 health. At some point along the way, he encounters some kind of damage that affects both his blood and his health a small amount. Let's say he gets attacked by a zombie for a few blows. The zombie also causes him to bleed. As he runs away, he loses blood continuously until he can bandage. You'll notice now that our blood is significantly lower than our health. This is because the initial blow affected both blood and health, but bleeding only affects blood. Already you can see health and blood has become unsynchronized. Unfortunately, our survivor doesn't have a bandage, and he bleeds out completely. On 0 blood, you'll notice his health is still full. You can actually be alive while having no blood. This is something that sounds a bit ridiculous, and if we are playing the mod, completely impossible. At this point, you're not going to be running around anymore, you are going to be unconscious. Now, consciousness is a fairly complicated thing in DayZ Standalone, and something I will be covering in a separate video. But in this scenario, all you have to know is on this low blood, you will be unconscious. And because you're not regenerating blood to put you back into consciousness, you're going to be unconscious forever. So while you are still alive, you're in a pretty sticky situation. However, a good Samaritan comes along, finds our unconscious survivor, and he helps him up, using some medical equipment to put him up to full blood again. Now here you'll notice that while we have full blood, we have slightly less than full health. This becomes very important in squad combat scenarios where somebody's trying to be a medic. Let's reset our survivor back to full blood and full health. He gets himself into some sort of firefight where he loses a significant amount of blood and health. Near death, a teammate helps revive him back to full blood. Notice, however, he is still on very low health. This means that one more impact, even from something fairly low-key such as a zombie attack, could kill him. Now this has probably been confusing some people as they've been getting put back up to full blood by their teammates using medical equipment, however they've still died from something seemingly small shortly afterwards. This is directly caused by the separation of blood from health. Playing with the same mindset as from the mod, that you can just fall back a bit, get blood bagged by a teammate and you're ready for battle again, is completely wrong now, and you will get yourself killed if you're not careful. So how do you actually tell if you're low on health and blood? Well, unfortunately, currently there's no accurate way to know what your current blood or health value is. If there was, I think this new system would confuse people a lot less because they'd be able to see exactly what was going on. But there's no debug monitor like there was from the mod, and I don't think there's any intention of putting one in. So the best thing to do is try and make an estimate. If you've been hit, or you've been suffering from illness, dehydration, or starvation, or you've been bleeding, then you're going to be lower on blood and probably lower on health as well. Also, if you make sure to keep post-process effects on, if your computer will allow you to leave that on, then you can make a little bit of an estimate just based on what your game is looking like. If it's desaturated and black and white, you're going to have lower blood than normal. If it's blurry, you've got lower health than normal. So that's the end of this episode. I hope I've explained some things here, but I'm pretty sure I will have caused some more questions as well. Don't worry, I'm going to try and explain everything in some later tutorials. Next medical tutorial is going to be how to regenerate blood and health naturally. However, to understand that, you need to understand the hunger and thirst mechanics, so that's going to be the next tutorial coming out. So keep an eye out for that soon. If you've enjoyed this video, please leave a rating. Comment any of your opinions and questions. If you didn't understand anything in this video, make sure to ask and I will try and answer you, and I'll know for future that I need to be more clear. If you've got any suggestions for tutorials that I should do, make sure to comment them and I'll take that into consideration. And finally, if you want to keep up to date with my DayZ Standalone tutorials and you haven't already, make sure you hit subscribe. I shall see you next time.